In the dead of night, in the vast, silent expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a war was being fought. Not with bombs and bullets, but with shadows and whispers. This was the Cold War, a high-stakes chess match played for the fate of the world. In 1968, a critical piece on that board simply vanished. The Soviet Golf II class submarine, K-129, disappeared without a trace while on patrol. On board, it carried a terrifying cargo: 3 nuclear-armed ballistic missiles and the cryptographic keys to the Soviet Union's most protected secrets. The Soviet Navy launched a massive, desperate search, scouring the ocean for months. But they found nothing. They eventually declared the submarine and its 98 crewmen lost, consigned to an unmarked tomb in the crushing darkness of the deep. But they weren't the only ones listening. Thousands of miles away, the U.S. Air Force had detected a faint acoustic signature on March 8th, the ghost of an echo, the submarine's death rattle. Using a top-secret network of underwater listening posts, they pinpointed a probable location. While the Soviets stared at an empty ocean, the Americans had a treasure map. The USS Halibut, a specialized spy submarine, was dispatched. It crept along the ocean floor, towing a remote-controlled vehicle packed with cameras. After weeks of searching and sifting through 22,000 photographs, they found it. A mangled wreck 3 miles down, 16,500 feet below the waves. And in the most secret corners of the CIA, a plan began to form. A plan so audacious, so technologically impossible, it sounded like science fiction. They weren't just going to look at the submarine, they were going to steal it. The challenge was monumental. Imagine standing on top of the Empire State Building and trying to pick up a car on the street below using only a giant grappling hook. Now, imagine doing it 3 miles deep, in total darkness, and without anyone in the world noticing. The CIA needed a cover story, something so big, so expensive, and so eccentric that no one would suspect the truth. They needed a billionaire, and they found the perfect one: Howard Hughes. The reclusive, enigmatic tycoon was the ideal front for the operation. The world was told that Hughes was venturing into a new, groundbreaking field: deep-sea mining. His company would build a revolutionary vessel, the Hughes Glomar Explorer, designed to scour the ocean floor for precious manganese nodules. It was a brilliant lie. The cost was astronomical, over $350 million, equivalent to more than $2 billion today. But Hughes's reputation for extravagant, borderline insane projects made it all completely believable. Construction began in Pennsylvania. The Glomar Explorer was a monster, a 619-foot-long vessel that was less a ship and more a floating surgical theater for the deep ocean. It had a massive derrick, powerful thrusters to keep it perfectly stationary over its target 3 miles below, and at its center, a giant hidden bay called the Moon Pool. This cavernous, submersible chamber was large enough to swallow the target whole, hiding it from spy planes. The ship's centerpiece was the capture vehicle, a colossal mechanical claw nicknamed Clementine. This was the grappling hook, an intricate web of steel talons designed to gently grasp the broken submarine and lift it through 3 miles of water. Meanwhile, another team worked on a different problem. The CIA knew the Soviet codebooks inside the K-129 would have disintegrated after years in salt water, so they developed revolutionary techniques to preserve and read submerged paper documents, hoping to unlock the secrets held within the wreck. Every detail was planned. The stakes were absolute. Success meant a potential Cold War winning intelligence windfall. Failure meant global humiliation and a potential international incident. In the summer of 1974, 6 years after the K-129 sank, the Glomar Explorer was finally ready. On July 4th, it arrived at the target site. The crew, a mix of CIA operatives and civilian contractors, began the slow, agonizing process of lowering Clementine. The steel pipe string, assembled section by section, descended into the blackness. The atmosphere on board was thick with tension. Then they got visitors. A Soviet missile tracking ship, the Chazma, appeared on the horizon, followed by a tugboat. They watched the Glomar, circling, observing the strange mining operation through binoculars. The Soviets had been tipped off that something was up, but their high command had dismissed the intelligence as impossible. They simply could not believe that the Americans could pluck a submarine from a 3-mile depth. So they watched, curious but unsuspecting, as the CIA performed the most daring heist in history right under their noses. Deep below, Clementine's cameras finally saw it, the dark, silent shape of the K-129. In a control room filled with screens, the operators guided the giant claw in a delicate, terrifying ballet. The talons closed around the hull. For a moment, silence. Then, confirmation. They had it. The lift began. The powerful winches started to pull, gaining just a few feet per minute. For days, the slow, steady ascent continued. They were a mile up, then 2. They were going to do it. The impossible was happening. Then, disaster. Without warning, a catastrophic mechanical failure. Several of the claw's talons snapped. The main body of the submarine, the section containing the missile silos and the code room, tore away. Horrified, the crew watched on their monitors as 2/3 of their prize plunged back into the abyss, lost forever. A wave of devastation washed over the ship. Years of work, billions of dollars, all for a partial victory. They were crestfallen, but the mission wasn't over. The claw still held a 38-foot section of the bow. They completed the lift, pulling the mangled piece of Soviet steel into the secrecy of the moon pool and closing the doors to the outside world. Inside, they found the remains of 6 Soviet sailors. They were recovered with solemn dignity. In a secret ceremony on the deck of the Glomar, the CIA held a formal burial at sea. Filmed by their own cameras, they honored the fallen adversary with a Soviet naval hymn and committed their bodies back to the deep. They also recovered 2 nuclear-tipped torpedoes and other invaluable intelligence. But the ultimate prize, the codebooks and ballistic missiles, was gone. The mission was over, but the story wasn't. Just before the Glomar set sail, thieves had broken into Howard Hughes's offices and stolen documents, one of which connected him to the CIA and the ship. The FBI's investigation drew attention, and soon, rumors began to swirl. The director of the CIA, William Colby, personally begged reporters to kill the story, arguing it would jeopardize national security. But a secret that big can't be kept forever. In February 1975, the Los Angeles Times broke the story, and the world learned about Project Jennifer, the press's name for the operation. Cornered, the CIA was asked to confirm or deny the story. Their response became legendary. The CIA can neither confirm nor deny the existence of the information requested. It was the birth of the Glomar response, a new chapter in the history of government secrecy. Project Azorian was one of the most complex and daring intelligence operations ever conducted. It was a partial failure that was also a staggering success. It pushed the boundaries of engineering, changed the game of deep ocean technology, and remains a silent testament to how far nations will go to win a war fought with secrets. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the hidden corners of history. See you next time.